Hello and welcome to the True North Show. I'm your host, Megan North, and I would like to thank our sponsors of the show, Quantum Awakening, Beth Lewis, Anne C. Clark, and our lovely guest who paid to be featured on this episode. Today, I am joined by a beautiful woman who was introduced to me by a previous guest, and as soon as we started talking, I knew I had made a very, very special connection. Vicki Beames is a mindset and personal development coach, certified emotion code energy healer, and author. She's happily married and has 4 adult children from her first marriage. She is empowered, driven, and passionate about personal growth and awareness, and loves helping others to step into their greatness and transform not only their own lives, but the lives of their family and friends, creating a ripple effect, reaching far and wide. She is committed to helping women find peace and beauty in life, free of guilt, shame, and regret, through the power of self-love, forgiveness, and gratitude. Vicki is a huge advocate of creating awareness around the toxic syndrome, parental alienation, and has a deep desire to help parents, especially women who have suffered because of this silent epidemic. Welcome to the show, Vicki. I'm really looking forward to our conversation today.
Thank you.
It's so lovely to be welcoming you and having you here. So we touched on the parental alienation silent epidemic that you speak about. So can you share a little bit about that? I don't know. I don't know, what do we call it? Is it a syndrome? I'm not sure. What do we call it?
Yeah, it is. It's a syndrome. And excuse me, I didn't know anything about parental alienation and how it was consuming my life, and it was within my life until I had somebody ask me, had I heard of parental alienation? And basically what it is, and I actually have it written in my book because I followed 2 doctors, psychologists or psychiatrists, who in America who were specifically working with children from parental alienation and trying to bring awareness around this subject, because it is silent, because it's not spoken about. Children don't understand what's happening to them. Parents often don't realize before it's too late. And the way that these 2 doctors, Alan Blockey and William Burnett, they're both MDs in America, and what they wrote about it was that parental alienation in a child is on a par with physical and sexual abuse, and it's a silent epidemic, and it's real, definable, and toxic. And they say it is the systematic, relentless, and deliberate manipulation, control, and brainwashing of a child to convince them that the alienated parent is unworthy, uncaring, unloving, and dangerous. And it means that the child or children are forced to choose between one parent and another. So obviously has devastating effects on the children and also the parent, because in my case, the mother, but in a lot of cases, it's also men and fathers as well. And I was divorced. I was living in Ireland for 18 years. I'm from New Zealand. I live home now in New Zealand. And I was married to my children's father, and we had an acrimonious divorce. And before I actually realized what was happening, parental alienation had already started in my life. And with my oldest son, it was immediate and effective. And he stopped speaking to me. Just basically, he took an exit out of my life. And I didn't understand what was happening, because previously we'd had such a great relationship. And this is what happens with so many parents, is suddenly the children just erase them out of their life, sever the relationship, or their behavior changes and they might come over and during their time with the parent and shut themselves in their bedroom, or refuse to have conversations, refuse to eat their food, abusive language, and things start changing, and often, in most cases, the parents have no idea what is happening before it's too late. And then the relationship is often broken down to the point where you just don't know how to go about repairing it.
Wow.
So that's what happened to me.
Right.
So I have 3 adult children now who I have no relationship with.
Right.
And my daughter, I have absolutely no way of communicating with her. I've been erased in every aspect of her life, social media, everything.
Right. Right. And when I listen to you explain what it is it sounds like to me also that there's a little bit of gaslighting, a bit similar to gaslighting in that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Because I could imagine that for you, when it first started happening, you'd be thinking, well, hang on a minute, have I done something? What happened when the last time that we saw each other? Was we didn't have a fight? Or I could imagine that sense of gaslighting would be happening at the same time.
Yes, yeah. And it's undermining everything you know, your love, everything you know as a parent. You lose your confidence, you lose your self-worth, you question yourself, you start believing the lies that are being told about you, because it doesn't just affect you and your family and your children. There's a whole regime of people who the narcissist quietly bring into their regime, and they're very good at manipulating and controlling, and going to the school even and telling stories to the school and to other family members, and a whole, group of people who you thought once were your friends suddenly turn their backs on you, and you don't know why.
And I think, apart from the list of hundreds of awful things around that, I think that the not knowing, I would imagine, would be the really difficult thing as well, because you'd be doubting everything, absolutely everything about you, who you were, your relationships, what you said, because the not knowing it. I think sometimes when we can understand why a relationship has changed or shifted or ended, there's some that I think there's a part of healing, I suppose, that happens. But when you don't know, it's very difficult to let it go.
It's like your children are dead to you, but they're alive. My younger son, he had been here with me in New Zealand, and he had been, I didn't realize at the time, but tugged by his father to, like, he was very threatened by the fact that he was here with me in New Zealand for a year, and eventually he succumbed and he went back to Ireland, and we had a beautiful relationship while he was here with me. And when he went home to Ireland, I've never heard from him again since. It was just completely out of the blue. And then the same thing happened with my daughter. Almost 11, it was 3 years ago, completely out of the blue. I had a message to say she wanted nothing to do with me. She didn't know whether she'd ever speak to me or see me again. Do not contact her or try to communicate with her. And that was the last time I've heard anything from her. So, it's like a bolt out of the blue for many parents, not just myself. And it's a silent epidemic because people don't talk about it. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what was happening to me until somebody said to me, had I heard about parental alienation?
Right.
And then once it had a name, then I started delving into it and studying it and learning what it was. Then it almost hit me in the face, like, this is textbook parental alienation, what's happened to me.
Mm. And with your change in your relationship with your daughter, were you aware of parental alienation when that happened, or was that the tipping point for you of then shifting through? Because you said it was only 3 years ago. So
Yes.
were you aware of it then, or was that the
I
tipping?
was aware that I wasn't aware of parental alienation. I didn't know it had a name. I didn't know it was a syndrome that was recognised.
Right.
And I know that in America now that they are fighting for parents who are known of parental alienating another parent. They are uplifting children from that toxic parent, and they are placing the alienated parent and the children into intense counselling and treatment.
Right. Right.
But it's proving it is the big problem, and making professionals aware that it's happening. Because in my case, my children were interviewed by a psychologist, but they were too afraid to say they'd been like manipulated and they'd been guided in what to say by the other parent. So they were too scared to go against what was said, because there's so much pressure on these kids.
Mm.
You know, they're being forced to choose between one parent and another. And often, you know, they love their parent, but in order to have a relationship with the alienator, it becomes a tipping point that it's easier to sever the relationship with the alienated parent just because they want peace.
Yeah.
They can't deal with the stress anymore and the lies and the
Yeah.
and then the parent who's alienated is always questioned. Like, I had no idea, so I was saying, you know, I was asking questions and you know, but I didn't know I was asking the wrong questions.
Right. Okay. Okay. And so you've already written a book about this. So gosh, you've been busy in the last 3 years,
Yes.
since this has happened. So is this the work that you are now like putting all your effort in? Like, has this become your passion and purpose? Do you feel that this is the track that you're now taking?
Yes, because when my daughter decided that she was going to leave my life, that was for me a tipping point. And as so many parents of parental alienation do, we hide it and we lie about it and we pretend on the outside that everything is normal and perfect and lovely, but we're dying inside. And you lose your self-worth. You feel so much shame because you think, what will people think of me? I'm being judged and criticized. My best friend asked me what had I done to my children, that they all were leaving my life. And so you feel judged, you feel criticized, you lose your confidence, you lose your self-worth because you feel so unheard. There's nobody's listening and nobody can understand the trauma, the grief and the pain that a parent who's alienated from their children goes through unless you've lived it yourself. Like, every birthday is like a funeral. Mother's Day, they don't acknowledge you. You know, you don't exist. Christmas, you don't hear anything from them, and it's living a nightmare.
And I from the brief, the couple of conversations that we've had, once you've had that recollection, sorry, not that recollection, once you've had that realization of what is happening and what has happened, I would imagine you've been on a bit of a journey to do some healing on yourself, because there would be a lot of forgiveness that you'd need to give yourself, I would imagine, because all of the stuff that you were thinking, it's my fault, what have I done, and all of that, I would imagine you would need to heal or would want to heal to be able to move through this.
Yeah. So because up until the point that my daughter left my life, I had hid it all. I'd suppressed it. I hadn't even told my family. So I was living a lie because I was so ashamed and I felt guilty. I felt inadequate as a mother.
Yeah.
And yet deep down, I knew that I had been a really loving caring mother until that point.
Mm-hmm.
And so when my daughter left me and I was being interviewed on an event that was taking place, and a woman who had never, there were 8,000 people on that interview, and a woman on there had never been on, am I allowed to say the name of this?
Yes,
Yeah,
sure.
Kathleen Cameron.
Mm-hmm.
So she's been my mentor and my guide, if you like. And so she had interviewed me on one of her events, and a woman came onto the event and had never been on one before and has never been on one since, as far as I know. And after it, she messaged me and reached out and said, had I heard of parental alienation? And it was at that point that that was the first time I heard of it, and I started looking into it, and it actually broke me because I had to face it for the first time. It still makes me emotional now.
Yeah.
But in doing that, I opened up about it. I told my family, I told my friends, my colleagues, and the support that I got was incredible.
Beautiful.
It just absolutely changed my life. And then once I realized that, that's why then I wrote my book.
Mm-hmm.
And that was part of my healing process.
Mm.
But I also wanted to bring awareness to parental alienation, because since then, I have people reaching out to me. Every time I post about it on social media, I have somebody reach out to me. There are people out there, parents suffering, and they didn't know, like I didn't know what it was. I didn't know that it had a name.
Yeah.
And it's so toxic, and it consumes your life. But for me, it was 25 years. It's been 27 years or so that I haven't had a relationship with my oldest son. And then almost 13 years since my youngest son left my life, and 3 years that my daughter has left. And in that time, nobody, you feel so alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I want parents out there who are going through this to know they're not alone.
Yeah.
They're not alone. They just have to reach out, speak about it, let people know what's happening, what's going on in your life, because then you get so much support.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you said that, when you heard about this and understood it, and it almost broke you, I can feel that in what you're saying. It would have, I just felt relief. I felt that feeling of relief of, oh my goodness, it's that start of that journey for you, that you've got that relief, because you can then release all the emotion around it and then start to move on and to heal.
Yeah, that was the beginning of my healing process, and I had to face a lot of truths, and I had to really look at myself and admit that, yes, I had made mistakes in my life, and that, but those mistakes that I made didn't define me and didn't make me a bad parent and didn't make me somebody that was uncaring, and that, I didn't not love my children. So writing my journal and my book, it was very healing, but also I hope that it will help other parents to heal as well, and give them some tools that they can get through every day.
Yeah.
Because self-love, I hated myself. I was drinking a lot because I didn't know, I had no other outlet. I didn't even speak to my husband about it. I told nobody. It was all in here. And so drinking just blotted it out. So, yes, learning to love myself again, learning that, I'm a loving, caring parent, no matter what is being said about me. You learn to have confidence. You learn your self-worth. I've changed the identity that I believe about myself now. Like, I know that I'm calm and balanced, and I know that I'm going to be that strong pillar that when my children find out the truth, I will be that person, that beacon, the light for them to come back to, because my love for them has never ever stopped, and the care and how I feel has never ever stopped. A mother or a father, you're bonded with those children through blood, through life, through genetics, and through energy. And so I know that eventually the truth will come out, and I will be there waiting with open arms for them, and no judgment, no criticism, just unconditional love.
Yeah, and just start from where you are.
Yes. And that's all you can do.
Yeah.
If we give up on our children, then we're not there for them, because the toxic parent doesn't love that child or those children, because no loving parent will force a child to take sides and to sever a relationship with a parent.
Yeah.
No parent who really truly loves their child will do that.
Yeah.
And somebody who is grounded and self-developed and strong in the belief of who they are, they will always, no matter what their feeling is to their ex-spouse or ex-partner, they will always want what is best for the children.
Yes.
And narcissistic parents don't do that. They want revenge, they want control, they want to manipulate, and they weaponize their children. And that's why bringing awareness to this toxic syndrome is the only way that we can stop it.
Yeah, yeah. It would give so many people just a deeper understanding of what's happening at the moment. And again, like you, giving that relief and that release of emotion of, okay, I'm not imagining this.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. And so how do you work with your clients? What are you doing with your clients in relation to this? Is this something that you're doing every day now? Or
I used to think that I wanted to coach. And I studied thinking into results with Bob Proctor, who's now passed, as a client. And then I decided I wanted to be coached, so I studied it as a consultant. Yes. So I'm a certified consultant. But then after writing my book, I decided that maybe coaching wasn't really the way I needed to go. And I felt I was being divinely guided as well, because you do become more spiritual when you learn to love yourself more, and you learn, you start personally developing and growing, and you feel that growth. And I became so much more in touch with my higher power, who I used to always call the universe. I now can call my higher power God, not in a religious sense, but in a spiritual sense. And so now, that all led me to healing and to energy healing. It was almost like a bridge of incidents. One thing led to another. And so I studied the emotion code and became certified in that. And now, so my next step is going to be studying and certifying in the body code, which is another level. And so that's where I feel that how I can help people best and parents best is to really let go of all that emotion, because it's a dark place to be. And if you can't get out of that, you've got to let the emotions go. And there are such strong emotions attached to parental alienation. It's just, if you let it consume you, it can destroy your life. And so many parents are taking their own lives because they just can't see a way out. So I see my role is just bringing awareness to it, and then helping other parents heal through energy healing, and through my experience as a personal development and mindset coach, just helping them find a way to weave through all of that shit, if you like, that's going on. And find the light, and head towards it. And find their own strength and their power.
That's beautiful. And it's a beautiful way to work with clients. It's how I work with my clients too, is that I bring that blend of, sometimes when you're working with people, you need to be a bit strategic and coachy, But then
Yes.
other times there are things that really you need healing with, and you need to clear and emotionally cleanse before you can move
Yes.
through to the next part. So it's a beautiful way for you to
Yeah.
be working with your clients.
That's right. And I believe that if I hadn't have done all that personal development work and grown as a person, by the time I reached the point where I found out about parental alienation, I wouldn't have got through it the way that I did. I think healing is key, and really that growth in yourself and finding your true identity and believing in yourself before you start tackling the parental alienation.
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
got to feel strong
Yes.
in who you are.
Yeah, yeah. And all of that personal work that you do on yourself, it's not easy. I mean, I've been on a
Mhm.
massive journey myself, particularly from being in a poor mental health state a long time ago. It's not easy, but it's the work that you do then when you start to switch over onto the other side of when
Yeah.
things start to become a little bit more I don't know. The healing does become easier. I feel like I think when you start, it can be very difficult. It can be hard. It can be dark. But then
Mhm.
you almost get to that point where you crack, don't you? Where it's like, wow, I think I've cracked the major thing that I needed to do to start me on the other side. And then it does start to get a bit easier.
Yeah, I think when you start taking personal responsibility,
Mm.
and it's not easy to face and not easy to do that. I had to really take a real deep look at myself and my own childhood and the beliefs that I'd had instilled into me as a child.
Yeah.
And I had to really seriously look at those and look at my parenting style when I was a mother, when I did have my children in my life, because I was really repeating habits that I had been taught as a child.
Yeah.
And so it's looking at those beliefs that you hold,
Mm.
and it's being able to challenge those
Mm-hmm.
and being open to change. And it isn't easy, but
No.
it's so worth it.
Yes.
It is when you've really got to look in the mirror and
Mm.
you've got to do a lot of work on yourself and forgive yourself.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things, is forgive yourself, because we don't have the tools to
Yeah.
navigate our way through something like this
Yeah.
unless we do that inner growth first.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that you talk about the forgiveness piece for yourself. I've also found through my journey that some of the belief systems that I had taken on from my parents, I needed to have forgiveness for them as well,
Yes,
because they were just doing what they needed to do. They were doing what they thought. It's a bit like your mum and the way that you were parented. Your parents are just doing the best that they can.
yes,
They're usually the parent isn't being particularly nasty or manipulative or anything like that. They're just doing the best that they can. So
yes,
I've found through my journey as well is that I've had to forgive some of the belief systems that I've had from whoever I've gotten it from. I've had to forgive them because they weren't doing it to be awful.
yeah,
That was just who they were.
yeah. And it's what they'd been taught as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really interesting.
yeah.
Okay, so we need to just take a short break to hear from our sponsors. But when we come back, I'd really love to talk to you from a mental health aspect, and we'll dive a little bit deeper into that.
Sure.
Great. Okay, thanks. We'll just hear from our sponsors, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Thanks, Vicki. Welcome back, Vicki. So when you, as you touched on before in relation to how you were coping years ago, you were drinking and those sort of things. So what sort of things have you done from a mental health and wellbeing perspective on your journey that has helped you? And also, do you still do the same things, or has your mental health and wellbeing journey changed?
Yeah, I definitely, every single day, I participate in some act of self-love. I didn't look after myself, when I was in the middle of this fire, and not realizing what was happening. And I was so lost and so alone. And so I wasn't looking after myself. And so now I go to the gym nearly every day. So I really look after my health, and I have always been involved in health and fitness. At one point in my life, I was a personal trainer and fitness instructor. So I really enjoy going to the gym, and I ride a mountain bike. So we haven't got our summer here yet, but even though I do ride in the winter as well, but I love getting out on my bike. I love being out in the fresh air. I meditate a lot and visualize, and even to this day, I still visualize, being reunited with my children. I reach out to them energetically because it's the only way that I know how that I can be, I can reach them, because whether or not you believe in energy is everywhere, and it's powerful. And so I do my best to reach out to them and let them know how much I love them. And I read a lot. So I read a lot of books on personal development and anything that's going to inspire me. And I stay in a community of people who really have my best interests at heart, and who keep me empowered, and who motivate me. And Kathleen Cameron from Diamond Academy, who's been an incredible mentor to me. I studied with her, and she taught me so much about loving myself and learning to change my identity of who I thought I was, because it wasn't very healthy. And so I try to get out into nature as much as possible, but I've learned to say no. If I don't feel I want to be, or want to do something, or be with somebody, or participate in something that I don't feel aligned with, I say no, and I don't feel guilty saying no anymore.
Yeah.
But I also I eliminated people in my life who were negative, and who I realized and didn't know at the time that they were part of the regime, if you like. And so now I just surround myself with people whose energy I enjoy.
Yeah.
And if family members who I don't enjoy being with because they, try to pull you down.
Yep.
I spend little time with them.
Yep.
Or when I do have to spend time with them, it's not very often, and it's not for very long.
Yeah. Yeah. Those boundaries, I think, are such an important aspect of everyone's life when it comes to our work that we do, but also our mental health, our well-being. The ability to be able to say no is so incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think when you get to the point when you've done the inner work, and there's a certain power and confidence in knowing that you've created an armor, if you like.
Yes.
And that anybody can say anything to you and it can bounce off you.
Yes.
Whereas before, it just wounded me deeply.
Yes.
And it sent me spiraling down to that dark pit again.
Yes.
And so when you do the work, you build that shield around you, and you become more bulletproof. But you also become more compassionate for other people as well. because you know that it's not about you.
Yeah.
So when you don't take it personally, you know that person, it's whatever's going on with them, and so your perspective is different.
Yeah, definitely. And I also think too, when you just touched on as well about the community, the group of people that you have around you, I think that is, you get really good at bringing in the right people when your boundaries are firm as well. And I think that having that positive community, and I always talk to people about, the people in my inner circle, excuse me, the people in my inner circle are not necessarily just all yes, Megan people. They are also people who, if I ask them an opinion on something or ask for guidance, that they are confident and they are okay and comfortable with my relationship, that they can also challenge me, because I
Yeah.
think that that's also really important.
Yes. Yeah. And somebody who's going to pull you up when you need it.
Yes.
And because we still do. I mean, personal growth is a lifetime commitment. It's not just, a short-term goal. It really is a lifetime commitment. And
Yes.
to have people around you who will stop you in your tracks and say, hold on a minute, so rather than somebody who's, really deliberately trying to pull you down. So, yeah, it's so important to have those people.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. And so what type of work were you doing before you started down this track? Like, obviously your career has changed and shifted in relation to what you're doing now. Was there some type of feeling of you just have to go with the flow and trust what's coming along with you as you move through your life and what you do?
I felt divinely guided to write my journal. Like, I wrote that literally in 2 weeks. And I
Ooh.
sit here today and I still think, how did I do that? But once I started writing, it was almost like this energy was coming to and through me onto the page. And I honestly felt I was divinely guided to write that book.
Yeah.
So to get back to your question, I'm a dispensing optician. So I've worked
Right.
in optics for a long, long time. I left my job in the end of July this year because I just didn't feel aligned anymore with that. And I knew I had so many other things that I wanted to achieve. And I do want to write another book. I want to write a book about parental alienation. I'm toying with the idea of writing a program to help parents of parental alienation to get through that, as well as combining it with energy healing. But I feel I was a little bit stuck for a while and thinking, which way do I go? But I always knew it was going to be that I would be guided eventually, and so listening to my intuition, and I know at first I thought parental alienation. Do I want to go down that dark hole again? And for a long time, I wasn't ready to do that. I couldn't emotionally go back to that place because it was too raw and it was too painful. But I feel ready to do that now because I do believe that there are so many parents out there that need help. They need to be heard. They need to be able to voice their opinions and their thoughts, their pain, and so I feel that's what I'm called to do. So in what capacity yet, I'm not sure, but it'll either be and or a book, but definitely in the healing modality.
And I would imagine, just when you were talking then, I thought you writing a book is almost the first step for people to start to read about it, to understand it, to have a deeper understanding of what it is. to enable them then to decide, do I want to start working on this and moving through it myself? So I feel like if you did write a book about that, I think that there would be so many people that would benefit from that.
Yeah, yeah. Because so a lot of people who are going through parental alienation, a lot of parents, from what I read and what the messages that I get, those parents are stuck in that place that I was for so long.
Yeah.
And they're still blaming and they're still criticizing, and they can't get past those deep emotions that they're feeling.
Yeah.
But you have to move forward from that, because you're not helping your children. If your children come to you, say you have joint custody, and they come to you once a week, once a fortnight, even every other day, then those children don't want to come to you to see this parent who's distraught and blaming the other parent and always emotional. You've got to reach a point where you decide to use that growth and use that healing as a starting point to become that beacon of light and to become what your children need you to be, because they're suffering. They are suffering terribly.
Yeah.
They're angry at you. They don't know how their lives have been ripped apart. And so in order to begin the healing process, parents of this syndrome have got to reach a point where they say, enough's enough. Now, I need to do the work. I need to, something needs to change. This has consumed me for long enough, and now it's time for me to stand up and start fighting for my children.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. What was it like? What was the process like writing a book? I mean, obviously you said you wrote it in a couple of weeks, but is it a what type of process is it? Is it enjoyable? Is it challenging? Is it all of the above?
It was very challenging because I really had to face my truths. And I had to write down on paper for everybody to see what my story was. But in doing that, that was the most healing part of it. And I knew that there were parents out there who needed to hear my story so that they could also heal as well. So it really, it was challenging in that respect. It was deeply, deeply emotional, because I had to go down to that dark place again. And that's why it's called Into the Light, because it's coming from that place where you just cannot see a way out, and your life is just, it's hell.
Yeah.
It's a living hell.
Yeah.
And you can't see a way out. But there's hope, and you're not alone. And I knew that other parents, if they read my story, it might give them hope as well.
Beautiful.
And to know that it is a thing, it's recognized.
Yeah.
It's got a name.
Yeah.
And once you become aware of that, then life changes.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for writing that and for sharing that, because I have no doubt that there'd be a lot of people that are very grateful that you have done that. So July, you left your career, I guess, your other career.
Yes, my profession.
Yes, your profession. So what advice would you give someone who is starting to explore their true passion and purpose? What are some of the things that you've learned over, I don't know, the last 6 months maybe that you could share with others?
I think asking for guidance is just taking a step back and just sitting quietly. No radio, we don't really listen to the radio anymore, but no music, no TV, no social media, and just sitting quietly and just really asking for guidance. But I think also it's really being honest with yourself about what it is that you want to do. What is it that lights your fire?
Yeah.
And being open to change. Like really, I knew something had to change in my life, and I knew that I couldn't change other people, but I knew I could change only myself.
Yeah.
And so it's being open to following your passion and your purpose, but being open to change your beliefs, change your identity, stop worrying about the worry and the doubt and the fear, because fear-based living, that's where we have so many people who are suffering anxiety, and it comes from fear. And man, you live in some fear when you're going through parental alienation. And even though I'm still a parent of that syndrome, I don't live with that fear anymore. But I lived with so much fear. So your nervous system is always highly activated.
Yeah.
And you that doesn't bring health, and that doesn't bring a calming influence in your life. So it's being open to change, being open to really look at yourself in the mirror and be honest, but finding that thing that you really, really feel passionate about, and just go for it. No matter what people say to you, just go for it.
Yeah, yeah. And it's really interesting because the majority of my guests on the show there's always an aspect or an element of how they answer this question, in the sense of be prepared for going with the flow and being open to opportunities and being open to change as well. Because I think when we all start out and we're like, right, this is what I'm going to do. Like you said that you were going to be a coach, but actually what has come to you and what you've learned is that you've needed to shift and flow, because that is not exactly what you want to do now. There is an element of it, but I think it's that having just being courageous enough to go, oh, okay, well, I thought it was going to be this, but actually I'm being guided and divinely guided usually to go down this way. So I'm just going to flow with it.
Yeah, and don't see it as failure, because so many of us think we're going, in one way, and that doesn't work out, so they think they're a failure. But everything we do builds on where we're meant to be, and I really firmly believe that now. I'm so grateful for everything that has happened to me in my life. I wouldn't have said that to you 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But now that I know that I wouldn't have become the person I am today if I hadn't gone through that trauma and that fire. And I could never be the parent that my children need me to be if I hadn't grown into the person I am now. And I wouldn't be able to help other parents.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if something doesn't work out, it's not meant to work out.
Yes.
But it's meant to give you experience to lead you down another path. And if that doesn't work out, take the next path.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's being open and willing to do that.
Yes.
And just seeing it as part of your journey.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really beautiful. Yeah. Really. It's a good piece of advice. Thank you. It's really good. Can you believe that we've actually only got a couple of minutes left?
I could talk forever about this.
We'll definitely have to come back. You have to get you back next season. So I'm going to ask you the same question that I ask all of my guests before we finish our conversation. So what is one lesson or truth that you've learned on your journey that you wish you had known earlier?
I think that I'm always loved by God. Always. Whether that God to you is the universe, force energy, Buddha, whoever you believe in. So for me, it's the universe. I believe in the universal energy. But no, we're never alone. We always have that. We always have that love. And also, I think to love myself is priority. I've really learnt that to become bulletproof, to become confident, to become powerful, or to regain the power that was always there for us to have, is freedom. It really is, and I never understood, the power of the universe, the power of the words that we speak, the power of our thinking, until I got into this personal growth work. And every book that I read now it's making me more and more aware of who I am and where I can go, what I can do, and I didn't understand any of that before I got into this work. And so, it's learning. I think learning to forgive yourself for what has happened to you in the past, but also thanking yourself because it got you to where you are today. Your actions, your beliefs, everything you've done in the past has got you to where you are today.
Yeah.
And as I said before, we don't have the tools to navigate our way through so much of what happens to us in our life.
Yes.
But once we start on a path of personal growth, it's freedom.
Yes.
It really is freedom.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. That's really, really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
And thank you for joining me today, and also for just talking about parental alienation. I had only learned about it when you and I spoke originally, but I have no doubt, well, I've learned a lot myself, but I also believe that our audience will have learned a lot as well. So I have no doubt that there'll be a lot of people that will be sitting and mulling over this conversation. So hopefully there'll be people that reach out to you as well, because there's a
And
lot.
I hope they feel that they can do that, because we have strength in togetherness, if you like.
Yes.
And that's where our power comes.
Yes. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vicki. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
And I'd also like to thank all of our amazing and dedicated audience, our supporters and sponsors. And I hope that you all have an amazing and wonderful week. And I'll see you all again next week. Thanks again, Vicki.